What's going on, good people? Yours truly, Easy Deezy, the largest, one of the hosts of Chop Shop this evening. To my left, the one and only AK Ruck, Red Dogs. How you feeling?
Good, my hands like I always do.
Perfect. And to my right,
you didn't mention his shirt, but
as normal, doing his thing, the world famous Waldo Days City's Finals. How you doing?
You're welcome.
Perfect. Tonight's guest, man, is somebody we had on before doing picking games with us, and now, as we get into this time of season, a lot of people are no longer with us, so we're trying to, work on estates, wills, financial planning. So I reached out to my man right here, and he was more than glad to accommodate the break, come in and kick it with us. So Executive Vice President of Flaharty Asset Management, the one and only Larry Weicht.
All right, thank you, fellas. Good to be with y'all today.
Welcome.
Good to be with you.
So, I always get intrigued by estate planning, because that's something that's not really discussed, where a lot of people say, well, it costs so much money, and
It does. It's not cheap.
How am I going to get the money? Because a lot of times, in certain communities, especially African urban communities, you do have people that pass, they don't have insurance.
Yeah.
So now you have to, come up with GoFundMe, fish fries, car washes, things like that.
So either way, it's gonna cost a lot of money.
So
right.
If you pay now, you pay later, it's still gonna cost a lot of money. It's gonna cost more if you wait.
there are ways with technology today that you can get your basic documents for $500. If you need more kind of deeper estate planning, sometimes there's another spouse, or you have children from another place. That
we ain't
gets a
gonna
little
talk about
complicated.
that. Yeah, we ain't gonna talk about that.
Well, here's the crazy part. Most folks don't realize, but if you have nothing, no wills, no trusts, the state of Florida actually writes one for you. It's in the statutes. And what it says is that your current spouse, if you have one, gets half your stuff. If you married a day, if you're married a week, if it's been your wife for 50 years, if you don't say how you want your things passed on, your current spouse gets half.
And then the state get the rest?
No. Then your children, any child can go back and claim. Now, that's when you say, maybe we don't want to talk about it. But by law, they're entitled to split the other half of your estate.
Found out by that other child, you're going to be splitting it in half anyway.
Well, or maybe there's, we all went to college, and, you'd love to say that you were, wonderful, but maybe you weren't. And so I have had clients in their 80s because of DNA testing and stuff now. I'm not kidding. Yes, sir. No. Absolutely. Had a client come in, husband and wife, they've been married 70 years or something like this.
Ooh.
But when he was in college, for the summer, he was a summer camp counselor.
I bet he was.
This young lady, she was 65 years old. She called him and did the DNA testing. She goes, I think you're my dad. He's like, not possible. Now, she was a retired professor from Georgetown. She wasn't after the money. She just wanted to connect. And her mother would ever refuse to tell her anything about her father. This man went all through life, but that was his daughter. And when she told him the mother's name, he's like, I knew her the summer of. Right before he ever met his wife, it wasn't anything illicit or anything. But 65 years old, she was.
Fun out of it, but okay.
That wasn't no personal story, was it?
No, I'm not here to find. But I do go to my daddy's house for Father's Day, just in case everybody comes. I don't want to answer the door, just in case. I'll be at my dad's.
The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Exactly.
I think, but I guess what I'm still perplexed by is that, so you do have those, and I don't want to say scandals because that's an ugly word, but you do have those scenarios where people come, okay.
When money is involved, everybody, let's say you hadn't talked to your daughter in 30 years. All of a sudden, my daddy was the greatest. Let me get in there and get my part, right? Mm-hmm. And I've seen so many wonderful families when it comes to money and people passing. They truly do. It gets ugly sometimes, right? It's usually, maybe there's 3 kids and 2 of them get along fine and they're like, hey, let's just do what mom and dad want to do and split it. And then you got the one, or sometimes the spouse of the other one gets involved and know that we need that, and it just gets hard. So my financial advice is you need to have 4 documents, all right? The first document you need to have is a power of attorney. The will not work when you're gone, right? But the will won't work. What if you get disabled? What if you have a heart attack? You need somebody to come in and pay your bills for you, right? What if you need to have somebody help you out? One day maybe we get older and we get dementia. That happens a lot more. Folks are living a lot longer with that, right?
Right.
So you need a power of attorney. The next document I think everybody needs is a healthcare surrogate. That just says this is a person that can help me make healthcare decisions. and they don't have to be the same people.
Okay.
So you have more than one. So you have
You can have multiples, right? So my healthcare surrogate is my sister and my mom, right? Because maybe I need my sister to go get a document from a doctor while I'm in the hospital and mom's with me, so they're going to help make medical decisions if I can't make them myself.
I know I've done a couple of wills for people, and sometimes it's included, but I like the way that you said to probably separate that document.
And it depends. My personal feeling is I don't want to live forever, right? If you're going to give me a choice, okay, good. There you go. Eat better. No, I'm just teasing. Eat healthy. But so the third document I think everybody needs is a living will.
Right.
You guys remember years ago, y'all been around, remember that Terry Schiavo case down in Sarasota?
Of course.
Yeah.
She'd had an accident. She became a vegetable in a hospital setting. Mom and dad want to keep her alive. The husband's like, she would never want to live like this. This goes on for 11 years. Who gets to choose is the answer. Well, if you have a living will, it says pull my plug or don't pull my plug. Don't make my kids decide to pull that. My dad did that with his dad, my grandfather. I mean, he was gone. It was the right decision, but he still feels guilty about that, right? It's right. So with a living will, you say, hey, either pull my plug or don't. I need 2 doctors to agree I'm brain dead, and that's the third document. And then the last document we can spend a little bit of time on is you either need a will or you need a revocable living trust.
Okay.
Like the revocable trust instead of
Now, what's the price? What's the price for a will? What's the price for a trust?
So if you wanted to do a will and the other 3 documents I just named, there are legal websites now that you can go on and you put in your information. And they'll do it for as little as $500. If you want a certified estate attorney to do it, it might be more like, I don't know, $3,500 to $5,000. And by the way, depending on how crazy it gets, we can get a lot more expensive, right? But
absolutely, especially for those trusts.
Yeah, I want to hide my assets in the Cayman Islands.
Okay. As long as they're tied to your Social Security number, Uncle Sam's going to get his. That's the problem, man. So the cost of passing away, there's something called the estate tax. Some people call it the death tax. You guys pretty familiar with that?
I've heard of that.
You guys happen to know how much you can pass on right now at death without any estate tax?
33%.
13.2 million each.
Oh.
It's about to go to 15 million if the Republicans get their way. So the estate tax does not affect most people. Less than 2% of the people even are qualified for it.
Right.
And my clients that are qualified for it, they don't pay it either because I do this kind of stuff with them, right? So just because they need it don't mean I can't get around it, right? I mean, there's a lot of things we can do with gifting and titling and family limited partnerships. So that doesn't affect people. That's not where the cost comes in. In Florida, the cost is from something called probate.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
Probate is the legal process to get your stuff out of one person's name into another person's name. So everybody who has a house, grandma might not have much. You got a car and a house. Well, if the house is worth a couple $100,000, got to go to probate. And in the state of Florida, you cannot probate an estate unless you're a bar certified attorney. So you have to hire a lawyer to get the assets.
So they're gonna take the fees out the equity in the house.
Exactly right. They take between 3 and 5%. That's exactly what they do. That you have written a lawyer into your life by not having a will. That's or just having a will. A will will not avoid probate.
Yeah, a will doesn't buy it, but the trust can.
The trust absolutely can. But there are ways to get around probate while you're still alive that did actually work pretty well too. Anything with a named beneficiary, so a life insurance policy, for example, that does not go through probate.
Right.
If you have a 401k and you got somebody listed on that, or an IRA, as long as there's a named beneficiary, it avoids probate. What a lot of folks don't realize is you can do that with your bank account, your checking account, your investment account. You can put on something called a POD, a pay on death. Some banks call it a TOD, transfer on death. You can say, let's say we're married, and we got 3 kids, and say, look, man, everything I got goes to you, and vice versa, because it's a joint checking account. But if we both go down in the same, bad potato salad incident on a Sunday, we can list our children as getting, a third.
Okay.
And if you do that way, you avoid probate entirely.
Now, it's funny, like you spoke before.
It's only liquid access.
I'm sorry?
It's only liquid assets. That wouldn't count. If you still had
properties are different. Right. You cannot do a POD, a pay on death, on properties. That's correct. So it'd be liquid assets, checking, saving, investments.
Okay.
If it already has, like I said, already has a 401k on it, already has a beneficiary on it, like a 401k or an insurance policy, automatically passes out.
So what happens to Nana house?
Okay.
When Nana passes, and you have a trust set up. You have everything in line. Now, what about the house? How does that work?
There's no guarantees, but if done correctly, I can get that house to your heirs in about a week if it's in a trust. It's very clear who your successor trustee is. That's who I deal with. That certificate, pretty easy to see, that somebody has passed. Trustees are named, and I'll deal with the trustee, and the beneficiaries are named. If we have to sell it, then fine, you got to sell it. That takes a little longer. But if your assets are in a trust, there is no probate, and I can get it done very, very, very quickly. There's no court involved. There's no public record involved. Greg, we were talking earlier about, do I put my DD 214 online or not? In a will, everybody, they're by law, at the county. I can tell you what everybody's will is in this county, and you just go look them up. Not a trust. Trusts are private. They are not required to be filed.
So wills are public records then?
Absolutely they are. The lawyer that does it for you has to file it.
You have to, yeah.
The lawyer that does it for you files it. And remember, I'm not a lawyer. I just deal a lot with this stuff. But so if Nana's house is in a trust, man, I get that. Let's say it's Nana and she just leaves it outright to you, and nobody else is involved, really. Fine. I can have that title switched over in about a week. It's that easy. A will,
as long as it's in the trust.
Yes.
Now, can someone fight him?
If it's in the trust, absolutely not.
In the trust? No, okay.
No,
look, you can fight anybody for anything, right? The old joke is you can sue a ham sandwich, and sometimes you can win, right? Anybody can sue you for any reason. Will they win? No. Will... let's say you got a brother and Nana didn't like the brother and he says, no.
I'm the favorite, the whole family.
Oh, me too. Ask my sister. I hope you're listening, Lauren. You know I'm the favorite in our house.
On both sides.
Exactly. But so with a trust, it's very, very easy. If you do, again, you don't have to spend the money on a trust if you just do the beneficiaries, right? Real property, that's a little different. The only asset I would not recommend putting in a trust is your car. Because I have some fantastic lawyers that are clients of mine. The first thing they do when you get in a car accident is see who owns the car that hit you. If it says
trust,
if it says
getting all that,
they're gonna look.
We getting all that.
If it says Dr. So and so, they're gonna do that. They're gonna look really deep into it because it's there might be more money there, right? If it's not, if it's just in your name, they're gonna get the policy limits on the insurance policy, and it might not work as well. But yeah, if it says trust on it, I guarantee you they're gonna go deal in a little deeper. Gonna go deal in a little.
Here you go.
So let me ask you, as we you get out of Zephyr Hills, 1991.
Yeah.
What was were you in the finances at that time? Like, this is what I want to do? What was your...
My mom was a teacher. My dad worked for the phone company.
Okay.
We didn't have extra money. We weren't poor. We worked hard, but we didn't have investments, right? Our family didn't talk about those things. I remember helping my mom. Remember those little green stamps that come in a book, the little Walgreens green stamps?
Yeah.
You fill them up in a book and go down to the green stamp store and get it. We did it. I didn't care about that. That's fine. So, no, we never really talked about money. I certainly didn't understand money. Went to college, and that wasn't really my strong suit either. And I just kind of looked into it. I was working with a company called Northwestern Mutual Life after college out in Denver.
Okay.
I had come back to Florida and went to go pick up an old girlfriend, and we're going to go get some dinner with some buddies. It was Christmas time, and I was sitting next to her dad. She wasn't ready, and he said, I work for Merrill Lynch, right, Larry? I was like, no, sir, I didn't know that. I was trying to avoid you in high school. I was the one bringing her home late. Right? I did not know that. But he basically just talked to me about it. I told him this is what I wanted to do. I was living in Denver at the time. He got me an interview the next morning. They hired me. And so I packed up my little Bronco 2 with everything I had and came right back here to Tampa. And that's kind of how it started.
And the same OJ ride?
Uh-huh. It was a Bronco 2. It was a little one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, little one.
It's funny, like, and we talk about relationships and resources. So you sit back and think in hindsight, you got turned on to the investment game with a girl from high school with her dad.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And he had enough pull to get you an interview the next day.
Next morning.
Now we ain't gonna just say he got hired because he went through
but he pulled the
he
string.
went through and answered the questions.
He answered but it was a lob. All you gotta do is just
he just had a dunk.
Got a dunk, and the lob was there.
But if he only had a 2-inch vertical, it wouldn't have been an Aaron.
He called it a dunk.
And you can barely slide right under my feet. I got no joke. You have a hard time slapping newspaper under my vert. Yeah.
So you started doing that. So
yeah, came back in '98, started doing that, and had some early successes. Okay. My growing up, we worked hard. My grandfather was a farmer. Right. I'm not afraid to go work. I didn't have to be the smartest one in the room. Somebody would teach you the stuff you needed to know. But what I can't even today teach people is how do you connect with others, right? Either you can do that or you can't. I cannot teach you to be really good at connecting with other people.
Right.
And so what do I really do every day? I ask people to trust me with their money. You don't trust anybody until you like them. And they don't like you until you spend a little time together, right? So I can teach you. I can't teach you to work hard, and I can't teach you to be good with people. Somebody taught me everything else. I can certainly teach you how to pick a stock or talk about estate planning or think about a client, for retirement. I can help you learn that. Somebody helped me learn it.
Right.
But I can't teach you to work hard, and I can't teach you to be good with people. And that's really a lot of what we do every day in my field.
And I think also is that, like we speak about, like, you got to have a certain discipline to let your money work for you. Like if you got budgeting, allotting money, like, okay, hey, we're doing the budget. We'll put this towards this towards this. And I think sometimes is that you have incidentals and you have accidentals and things come up. So how do you prepare? Because you really can't prepare people for it.
No, but what I'll tell you, one of the biggest, I think, game changers with young people, right? Maybe even some older people, but by the time we're about 35 or 40, we're set in our ways. I mean,
Right.
I've seen doctor clients make ridiculous amounts of money, but unfortunately don't have a lot of investment, right? They spend it as fast as they make it.
Okay.
If they retire at 65, they've been doing that since they were 22, man, I'm not going to change them.
Yeah.
I've got other clients that have always lived beneath their means, right?
Okay.
Librarian and, bank teller. They retire on millions and they're never going to spend it, right? I mean, I can't get them to go be a spender anymore. I can make that doctor, slow down and be, a saver. So I think it's amazing if we get them younger, let's say college age, because again, I wasn't thinking about money at that point, right? So maybe right out of college. And the key is this: you have to see yourself, your family, as a bill. Right? So every single month I have a mortgage, I have a car payment, I have health insurance, I have a phone that I got to pay. The other thing that we got to add in there is me. I get 10% of everything I make. That bill gets paid no matter what. Now,
And you got a wife too. I got a wife too.
There you go. But your family gets 10% of the net every month. If you make $100, fine, $10 goes in for the family.
Yeah.
And that's how folks start to think about living within their means. It is a bill that you cannot negotiate. You pay yourself like you pay your rent. You pay yourself like you pay your phone bill. 10% of your take home needs to go into something to pay for you. Now, earlier we were talking about 401ks. Okay, fine. You got 5% going in the 401k? Fine, that's great. Take the other 5% and you that's fine. As long as you're paying yourself 10%, I'll help you figure out the right place to put it. But you got to think of yourself as a bill, and that bill is non-negotiable. And sometimes for younger people, that's hard. I know it was for me, right? Somebody asked me to go out, hey, do you want to go to Miami for the weekend?
That's what I'm saying.
I just paid myself 10%. I can't. I'm broke, right? But that's the mentality you're trying to develop. Only those clients succeed financially. It's a fact.
So let me ask you now. I know you started at 28, so you say you had a lot of success in the early, when you first started.
I just made it, man. The first thing they teach you at Merrill Lynch, there's 10 of us in the room. They're like, look to your right, look to your left. There'll only be 3 of you left in a year. And they were right. And then they bring you all up to Princeton, New Jersey with kids from all around the country, and they look to your right, look to your left, and say, only 2 of you will be here at the end of the year. And they were right. It's hard. So my early successes were the fact that I was just making the minimums and, kind of getting along and finding my way, and I didn't have to go hit the door.
Well, let me ask you, every now and then, I don't know you're a little older now, but let's say in your first start, early 30s, did you do anything crazy? Like, I just want to do this. I'm gonna do something crazy.
Yeah.
No?
Most money I ever spent was on my ex-wife's engagement ring. that was all the money in the world to me at the time. But no, I mean, we bought a house. I did the responsible things.
Right.
I'm not a car guy, right? So, I like nice cars, but I don't get into it like some people do. I like to golf.
Okay.
So I do that regularly.
Okay, so how much a set of clubs cost?
Depends. I'm 6'3" and too fat, so I got to get something to go around my belly, but are long enough so I don't have to bend in half. So depends on what kind of clubs you get. But I'll tell you what, I'll play with the same clubs for 10 years before I go get another pair.
So you don't have any things like
You don't have a real hobby?
yeah, that's what I went.
Golfing is his hobby.
I like to golf.
How often do you
No,
golf?
he's not putting money in it.
I golf probably once a week on the weekends, and then in the summer I won't do that though.
And you keep the clubs that long?
Oh, yeah.
You had to beat the crap out of.
Well, yeah, I get regripped and stuff, but no,
Oh, okay.
I'm
Okay.
tight, man. I got a green egg at my house that came out of an estate from an estate lawyer called me. I was like, I wouldn't pay the full price for it, but she didn't need it anymore, so I got it pretty cheap. So. Look, I have a good time.
And that's why you keep your things out of probate, guys.
Yep, that's exactly why. Because guys like me, estate planning lawyers will sell your green eggs to me because your son don't want to drive it back to Ohio.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I do anything. I love spending time with my family. We go down to the beach for a week. My whole family, sister, mom, dad, everybody, all the kids are going out to Vail, Colorado for a week after Christmas. And so to me, I'd rather make memories. I don't want stuff. I mean, I got stuff. I can't leave stuff to my kids. I can't, they're going to think about the Barbie doll I bought them. What they're going to think about is like, hey, Dad, remember that time we went to the beach? We had so much fun, right? That's what I want to do with my money.
And I think that's a good thing, because a lot of times is that we have so many people that are caught up into material things.
Yeah.
And some people do it for validation.
Yeah.
To feel good about themselves, or raising the bar, like, hey, I got this, what do you go, and I don't understand it. And I agree, like you just said, making memories with your family, that's what it's about.
Everybody has a different pace. Some people aren't married. Fine. Everybody got their thing that they like to do, and that's wonderful. Just pay yourself first, and that's where you get the money to do those things.
And I was saying that, speaking about like when your daughter graduated and everybody came up, that's something that will always stick with you, and that's something that'll stick with her as well. Like, when I walked across, my family was here to support me.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful memories that, like I said, she'll never forget those. So we get out, we leave. How did Colorado come in the mix, Lisa? Because and I'm always intrigued by this, because coming out of Florida in 1991, you got your Floridas, you got your Miami, Florida State, South Florida area. You might do maybe Jacksonville University, like things in the state. Yeah. How did Colorado? Because that's a long way from home. How that come in the mix? You ever been to
Zephyr Hills, Florida? You would want to get out of there too. No, I'm just teasing. I loved where I grew up, but I did want something different. Between my junior and senior year of high school that summer, there was a program for kids who had a good shot at getting into the Air Force Academy.
Okay.
And so the Air Force actually had to apply. It was this big thing, but they flew me to Colorado Springs for a week. Me and a bunch of other kids from around the country.
First time on a plane?
Second.
Okay.
Yeah, second.
Right.
First time ever west of Mississippi, though.
Okay.
Yeah, so, these beautiful mountains are right here. And, long story short, I did not get into the academy, but I did get offered a 4-year ROTC scholarship from the Air Force. Mm-hmm. Pay for anything, right? Again, mom's teacher. We didn't have money going out of state, but I applied to Florida. Back then, it wasn't nearly as hard to get into as it is now for kids. But Florida, Duke, North Carolina, and Colorado. Because I didn't know anything about Colorado. I'd never been to Boulder. I'd just been to Colorado Springs the previous summer and just thought it was beautiful.
Right.
I didn't know anybody west of Mississippi. And I got into all of them, and I said, all right, I'll go to Colorado. It's the furthest away, and it's something I've never done before. And so it just kind of worked out after that.
You definitely had grades.
I did okay. Yeah, I did okay in high school.
So let's rewind. I want to fast forward to now.
Make sure you tell everybody that. Yeah, good.
Getting
grades.
ready to leave to go to Colorado. Did you fly, or did your parents drive?
No, we drove. I had a little brown Dodge Dakota, and we packed it up, little 3-seater, And Mom and Dad followed, right? Because I was bringing my vehicle out there.
Right.
By the way.
That's a long drive. What is it, 30
3
hours?
days. Texas goes on for a month.
Yeah,
you get into Texas and say, oh, we're almost there. Well, 3 days
yeah.
later, you're still in Texas. It is a long drive. So we drove out. We had fun. It was, it's memorable. It's one of those memories we all remember. My sister, Mom, and Dad behind us. And we just drove out, and then they drove back. But I'll tell you what, never been lonelier in my life when you see Mom and Dad heading out.
How long would it take if you got homesick?
My parents said they could tell when the weather was bad, because it was all gloomy for like a week at a time, and I call more often. But it's like, I know why all the serial killers in Seattle. They never see the sunshine. So it happened, but I met some great people, and pretty quickly was busy. They take you down to Air Force Base for a week, and run you around, and then you got PT 3 times a day, and you're trying to learn stuff. So 3 times a day, 3 times a week. So I did have to figure out how to drive on snow, and let me just tell you, a Dodge Dakota pickup truck in the snow is not the right vehicle to have. No, you got no weight in the back. It won't go anywhere.
Then also, we come from the era where there was no Cash App, no Zelle, no Apple Pay, so you got to wait to get any kind of money.
So the Air Force paid me $100 a month. as a scholarship ROTC kid. So that was that, and then got other jobs. I worked at a restaurant/bar in town. The receipt, every time you got on the credit card receipt, it said the library, or it said CU bookstore. It never said the bar's name. My daddy found out about that, and boy, he was like, I knew you weren't getting all those books. I was, sorry, Dad.
He knew you were working there then.
Oh, well, he knows I was working.
Just didn't know where.
Just didn't know his credit card was getting used for anything other than the CU bookstore. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So I did that. I worked for the university. We did intramurals. Man, that was an easy job.
So you ref
intramural games,
yeah, that's
man.
Sweet. That's
and then, like, one of the guys in my fraternity was older than me, so he had me do it. And the next year I was kind of running it. So I didn't even actually have to ref. I could just sit in the shade and kind of monitor. And so that was a pretty good job. I could do that during the day, and then I taught swim lessons first thing in the morning at the pool. And lifeguarded, and so I get up at like 5:36, whatever. I was at the pool, and the only person going to drown. I mean, these guys are triathlon athletes, I mean, they're not going down,
Right.
So I'd study a little bit, and then at 10 o'clock they had the mommy and me classes. You'd teach little kids. That's how I got through.
So you've always been good with money, then.
And he's always been a
No,
hustler.
I don't know that that's a fair statement at all.
No.
Absolutely, I don't think that's a fair statement. My father would tell you that's not a fair statement. But I
But
always
you had hustling. You had to go get it.
Yeah. Go.
You're not going to tell me no, man. I played linebacker in high school and offensive line. Man, I'm going to run through the door before you tell me there is a door, right? I mean, I'm just going to beat my head. That's my mentality. I'm not the smartest, but you can't outwork me most days, right? I mean, I'm the guy that
Great.
first thing in the morning, last thing at night. Now, maybe not as much now in my 50s, but, when I was a younger guy, I worked a lot, and I'm not afraid to grind.
Okay. Now, I know you said you played football, and I know we laughed the first time we hung out. You talked about how faster the game was in college compared to high school. I'll tell you this story.
Damn kickers are faster than the defensive linemen in college. You got to be kidding.
Tell about the drill with the linebackers. Y'all lined it up.
I take 2 steps. You guys remember a guy named Shannon Clavel?
I remember
Shannon Clavel.
Big kid.
Big D lineman. Ended up actually dating and having a couple kids with Coach McCartney's daughter. I walked on for 2 days, and I saw the play coming. I was going. He didn't even know where the play was. I pick up my head. He's already there, and I hadn't even got out of my spot yet. He was so much faster. It's you got to diagnose, but every level gets so much faster, and it's an exponential thing that I don't think is really appreciated. Some really, really good college football players, they get the NFL and they're like, dang, I'm the slowest one here, right? Every level, they get faster and faster and faster.
And I want to get back to what you were speaking about, like with the investment plan. Do you have people that come to you, and I'm sure you do, like, hey, I'm messed up, I need help, like I'm doing this, I'm all over the place. Is budgeting something there? Because I know, like, for younger people, from what I'm around, they're in the right now. They don't look, okay, they're in right now. How do you bring those, and it's older people the same way that are just, this is my check this week, this is what I'm doing, and we'll revisit when I get my next check.
This is going to sound unkind, but it's true. If you're in your 40s or 50s and haven't started saving yet, it's never too late, but that's probably not something me and my firm are going to be great at, right? If you can't save by that point, I can't teach you to save. I can't. Now, that's not to say that things come up, right? You can inherit money, right? I mean, you're in your 30s, 40s, you don't know how to save, and you're like, hey, man, mom and dad passed away, they left me some money, I need some help now. That happens, right? And then we can structure some stuff, but you got to be a saver. You got to have assets. Got to have money to make money. But how do you get money? You save it. So for young people, if I could get one thing across, I don't care if you do anything, just pay yourself that 10%. Pay yourself every month. Then you're going to have something for guys like me to help you with. We get a lot of folks that are getting ready to retire, right? I was saying earlier, we work with some officers coming out of MacDill. We do some work with teachers, go figure, right? Because my mother was a teacher. Did a lot of retirement rollovers from Verizon back in the day. Why? Because my dad worked at Verizon, right? We didn't grow up with people with money, right? You could go to your friends and ask for money.
Right.
They were as broke as you. So, I teased with my kids at that time when they were about 13, 14, all the girls, I'm driving them somewhere from chorus or whatever, and they'd like, oh, that girl's got a lot of money. I'm like, nah, she's just as broke as y'all. Her parents are doing okay, but she got nothing, right?
But I think that's the thing, like financial literacy is just something like, I know like we were in school, I know we had to did a thing with the checkbooks. ledgers. I don't even think they promote that anymore now.
Nobody
My
use
kids don't
checks.
have a check. My older daughter is home from college. She's working at a law
You
office.
still got to balance it.
Yeah, balance your money though.
No,
you know.
no. They look at the
Why?
app and see when it's empty. That's what they do. They don't balance anything anymore.
Well, why would you have to balance it? They give you everything
Yeah, they tell you the
online.
balance.
But you have to have your bills. You have to have your bills.
I feel what you, I see what you're saying.
You're
but I get
right.
what
That's
they're
what
saying,
should
too,
be
though.
happening.
Right.
But Riley doesn't even have a checkbook to give them to do the ACH. We had to pull it off the app, like the routing number and everything.
Right.
They don't open accounts with checkbooks under 35 or 40.
No, they don't.
You got to pay for checks.
Yeah, they make you pay for checks now too. Yeah, but
You got to
there's
pay for
that.
checks. We ain't paying for checks. I'm not paying for checks.
You can do everything with bill pay, and you know what I mean. It's like
Yeah.
so
Everything is online.
And that's how actually it's funny you say that because I pay my bills with the routing and account number.
Yeah,
That's
man,
how I
me
pay.
too.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking you still have to have.
So I think it's very hard for young people. When we were kids, I'd get a paycheck. Ecker Drugs and Kentucky Fried Chicken were my first 2 summer jobs.
Okay.
I get that little paycheck, and it was little. And I go across the street to the bank. I would cash it, right? And I'd take $20 out for gas money and food or, a movie or something for the weekend. I'd put the rest in my checking account. My kids think I have 47 heads. Like, you did what? You had a piece of paper you had to take to the bank every week? I'm like, yeah, pretty much. That's the way it worked.
Yeah.
There was something about having that cash. When it costs $10, you got to give them $10.
Right.
You think about that, right? You take the check by hand and put it in the bank. Now the money just shows up in their account and it goes right back out because they're buying this on TikTok and I saw that, I want one of those. It's harder for them to track it. I think that's
And like you see, but
very
now
hard.
with the card, you just
And especially
here you
when
go.
it's not
Here you
their
go.
money. It's really hard for them to track when it's
I'll
not
tell you,
yours.
I'll tell you a funny story. It's funny you say Kentucky Fried Chicken. One night I got into a heated discussion with my youngest son, Kobe. Left the house flustered. I was going to pick up Kentucky Fried Chicken for the house. Left my wallet.
Oh no!
And I'm like, damn, I left my
Apple
wallet.
Pay.
So I'm on the phone with him, and he's like, "You do Apple Pay? How do you like?
How do I do that?
Yeah, how do I do that?
How do I do that, son?
So I'm at the drive-thru, like, here you go, and he like, ran through, like, oh, okay, like this is. But I had no clue, like I was so far removed.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, damn, man, I got to turn all the way back around. I got to go back home. He was like, no, just use your phone. I'm like, what do you mean use my phone? He said, just give the bag, give the bag your phone, and she
So true.
scanned it, and I was just like, damn, okay.
Yeah.
My kids will do something on their phone. I'm like, how'd you do that? Make mine do that. They're like, Dad, I'm not.
And now you go places, but now like you could tap,
Yeah.
crazy. But like I said,
And a lot of places are
technology-
cashless, right? Like so,
Oh,
I love
absolutely.
going to hockey games. And Emily, you can't use cash.
Wow.
Really?
They will not take your cash. They will only take debit cards and Apple Pay
Wonder why
or
that
credit
is.
cards. Because they don't want to deal with it. It's more money to count at the end of the night. Somebody
More
can
work
take
to be
$10
done.
out.
Yeah,
You got,
and
you
all
got to worry
sorts of
about
reasons.
people taking. You got to worry about people taking the.
You know how much
taking the
also-
money. You got to
Yeah.
worry about doing bank deposits.
Well, yeah, but it's also not. You think about that's man hours. You extra man hours, so I can
And
say.
you can also dispute that. You can go back and dispute that charge.
Yeah, if it's erroneous or something, sure.
Yeah, I mean-
and there's and I'm not going to get political here, but there is one of the things that President Trump ran on was no tax on tips. Now we're talking about when we all used to use cash, right? So you go out, you get a hamburger, you leave the girl $10, right? No big deal. Well, she would put that in her pocket and not
Right.
claim it. I mean, that's
no-
why they were getting like $2 an hour, is because they were getting these tips that
Right.
they were taxable technically, but most people didn't claim them, right?
Yeah, they wasn't.
Well, now we all pay on our credit cards, and those tips are taxable. They go right to their W-2.
Yeah.
And so they're all taxable unless you leave the waitress or waiter cash.
Cash.
They're paying tax on them tips.
Okay.
And so one of the things Donald Trump ran on was like, hey, let's stop that, right? I mean, let's either make it non-taxable if we're going to do it that way, So I think if you're waiting tables, it's you got a lot more taxes withheld. It's pretty rare people pay you with cash anymore. It happens,
That's true.
but it's
Yeah,
not
that's true,
often.
though.
Yeah.
I use it. I'll say I use the Cash App, but now everything has to be justified on Cash App. I used to tell them.
Yeah, they send out
Hourly.
W-2s and 1099s
Yes,
or
they
whatever
do.
for
Over certain
Cash
amounts
App.
now, yeah. And same thing, Zell's coming with that too, and Venmo and all them. Why? Because the government's it's not a lot of contractors will say, hey, no, just send me Cash App or send me, Zelle or send me Venmo, just like we used to pay with cash, but that's the new thing, and the IRS can now track it, and they want their piece of it.
And they want to know why you're sending it.
Yep. What do you think? What's this for? They always
Yeah.
want to know what's it for.
Yeah, and at one time that wasn't even the case, but now if I send you $5 for, and you have to put it in.
Yeah, they won't let
before
you
they
send
go-
it with until the 4 goes in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, estate planning, wills, trusts, it's complicated. pick up the phone and call somebody if you want. Call us. I'll talk to you. I mean, it's friends of yours. I'll have a conversation with you and tell you what I think you need. The lawyer actually has to draw up the trust, or nowadays you can go online and kind of, put in your information and you can get one relatively inexpensive. But you definitely want one, because if not, the state of Florida writes you one, and it might or might not be what you want it to do, right?
Yeah.
The other thing that I find a big challenge with is when I was 19 to 23 probably, you didn't want to give me a bucket of money. I would have done some stupid things. To answer your question, was I always good with money? Nope. I would have had a new car and some girl sitting next to me and, who knows what else. But
Party at Larry's.
Yeah, exactly.
Truth Lounge.
Yeah. I was in Denver, dude. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Whiskey Cafe. But I would have done some foolish things. Girls with really expensive names like Mercedes and Diamond and everything else, right? But as I got a little older, I got a little smarter, and then get a family, start thinking about responsibilities. So I want to protect my kids from making big decisions with money, because they just don't know how yet, right? And it's not their fault. We see this a lot with some of the athletes we deal with, right? And everybody just assumes because you're 22 years old and you're a famous name, you know how to handle money. But if you didn't grow up with it, you don't know how to handle it either. So you've got to trust some people. And it's a lot more money than most of us have at 22, right? And unfortunately, a lot of these kids, and they're still kids, they get come at from everybody they grew up with, right? Everybody coming after them, an aunt over here, an uncle over there, and it's very hard to say no to your loved ones. It's just hard, right? I mean, you've probably seen that, right? I mean, recently, and you can't help everybody, but you want to, and but it's very hard. And then we do the things to keep up with the Joneses. It's like, hey, no, I need 3 cars. So, okay, how many can you drive at a time? You don't have a wife, you need 1 car, right?
It's funny you say that, because I think a lot of times is that. And I don't want to sound cynical when I say this, but there are a lot of people that wait for that check to land and look to get a piece. Yeah. And I think that's to me, if you've put the work in, I think about, and I'm just saying, your cousin. When he got drafted last year, I felt like I got drafted too, because I was so excited for him. But I know with you guys as a family, you don't have, because a lot of time when people get that status, man, well, hey, I'm looking at doing this. I need hey, I want to start my own record label. Hey, I want to
invest in a restaurant.
Yeah, I want to open up this restaurant, open up a car detail place. Hey,
or I want to take care of my sister and buy her a house, and all those things.
But that's the work. That's the work that he put in.
It's younger. It's not because they're athletes. It's because they're younger and don't know how to handle money. So in a trust, what I can do is say, hey, I don't want my kids to inherit immediately. I'd like to give them some money when they graduate college and some money when they have a kid. I want to give them a little bit when they're 30, another little chunk when they're 35, and give them the rest when they're 40 kind of thing, right? I don't want them to be 90 years old and not have it, but I do want them to grow into it, and I see that a lot. So you can do that in a trust.
Give them a lump sum at 85.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I tell clients all the time.
In case that kid comes out of nowhere.
65-year-old George, that was that story, right? So you can do that in a trust. With a will, you can't do any of that. Once you're gone, the will says give it to you as long as they're 18 years old, and the state of Florida is theirs.
And I tell
they can be smart with it, they can be bad with it, but if you didn't grow up with money, even if you did, you're not mature enough in most cases to handle that big responsibility that comes with that, right?
Yeah. So now I had a question about the trust. So like you said, as far as how complicated things get, so that adds on to the price of what is being set up. Like you said, you want to give them some when they're 25. You want to give them
most
some when
most
they're 30.
of the state lawyers I work with, they do it by the package, all right? And so, in other words, I personally, and this is just my opinion, so sorry out there, all my lawyer buddies, but I don't like paying a state lawyers by the hour, right? You charge me. How many hours do I know? I mean, every 6 minutes you're sending me a bill because you answered an email. I do not care for that. I do not care for it. So what I like is when I walk in and say, here's what I got. I got 2 pieces of property and I got 2 kids and I'm not married. How much is it going to cost? And they say $5,000. Then that's fine because I know if they work really fast. Yeah. Exactly. And then so I prefer it that way. The lawyers I work with do it that way. And the other way is not wrong. I just like the accountability, right? So if you do it fast and you make a lot of money off of me, fine. If you go really slow and you feel like you're underpaid, that's your problem, not mine. I already got my price, right? And so I like to know that. And so by doing it that way, if they put this in the trust or those words in the trust, a lot of it's boilerplate, but the personal stuff like we just talked about, it doesn't cost extra.
Okay.
You can just, it's an extra paragraph that says, I want this, this, and this, right?
Okay.
And so it doesn't cost a lot extra. Where it gets expensive is we're moving lots of pieces of property, right?
Or the more assets and.
Well, no, the more property. Property is real estate. You got to actually go down to and retitle the asset, right? So let's say you got a mountain house that you rent out and a beach house you rent out, right? I want you to have those in LLCs, right? The LLC will protect you from creditors, right? If somebody slips and falls at the beach, the only asset they can get is that house. They cannot touch your other stuff. Then I want to create a revocable living trust which owns those LLCs so that if I die or become disabled, somebody else can manage those for me, right? And I want them to go this way or that way. So that's typically the structure. By doing it that way, the attorney's got to create multiple LLCs. He's got to move some titles from my name into the trust name. So there'll be a little extra, but it's like $500-600, not like 20 more thousand kind of thing is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now, we can get deeper too. I mean, sometimes folks, they have pieces of property that maybe they inherited, maybe a piece of farmland, right? Live up in Wesley Chapel, thing was worth nothing. Well, now all of a sudden it's got a lot of value, right? Because they want that farmland. So grandma passes, you got this asset. What do I do to help avoid some of those estate taxes we were talking about? Because it hasn't always been at $13.6 million. When I first started, the estate tax started at $600,000.
Wow.
Anything over that, they were starting to get.
Yeah.
So it's hard on small businesses. It's hard on family-owned land. It's hard on. So we can help you with the attorney, of course, create this limited partnership. So let's say you guys are my kids, and I want to give you guys my stuff, right? So I give you 99%, right? You guys each own 33%. I own 1. But your shares can't vote. Only my shares can vote. So in other words, I don't own the asset anymore, but I still control it.
Control it, yeah.
And because your shares aren't as worth as much as mine, so let's say I gave you something that was worth $10 million. Get the right lawyer and the right accountant, myself working together, we can probably get a discount. I can say that instead of $10 million, I actually only gave you about, $7 million because yours isn't worth as much. I get like a 30, maybe a 40% discount. And so we do that with land and with folks too. So we work closely. Everybody's situation's different, but it's not the price that's the issue, right?
Do you have ugly situations?
Of course.
Yeah, it happens.
Of course.
So, and every day I learn too.
Especially him, because he dealing with people who got a lot more.
I do have some ugly situations. So I'll tell you what. Every day is fun, but I learned something new about 3 years ago. I mean, I've been doing it 25 years now. So figuring 22 years you'd seen everything. I had not. There is a law that was passed in Florida 10 years, 12 years ago. What it says is that if you get divorced and forgot to take an ex-spouse off of your life insurance or your 401k or something like that, they don't get it. If you forgot to take an X off your stuff,
they don't even get it.
They don't get it. The state of Florida says they died first and they don't get it. So recently I've had to deal with an insurance policy where the guy had one from 1968 or something. Like he was a Piper Steamfitters Union policy. It was like $10,000. But he was married at the time, got divorced, been married to the other lady for 40, 50 years, but he had never changed it from his ex-spouse. Well, he passes away. His current wife, and pretty much his only wife, she goes in and get it. And they're like, sorry, it goes to so-and-so. It was based out of Massachusetts. I'm like, you're a Florida resident. It does not go to so-and-so. Let me explain it. Now, the ex-wife that nobody had seen in 50 years, guess what? She wanted that money. Her name was on it, and she was ready to get it.
They notified her. Oh, yeah, it's coming now.
Yeah.
Now
she wants
she
that
getting
money.
her nails done, hair done,
And I pick up the phone. I pick up the phone.
Made it.
Earl sorry ass done passed away and gave me my money.
Well, then I got involved, and she's like, "It's not." So we did that U-turn real quick, right? So things get ugly. Like I said, I say a lot with families, unfortunately. But if you plan your estate correctly, people can get fussy all they want. There's not much they can do about it if you did it right. That's what we help people do.
I just had someone chime in and say, great info. Thank you for that part. He wanted to know, what's your thoughts on Robinhood?
Let me be careful here. I
don't want to get no lawsuits or nothing.
I think that if you're going to trade your own money,
okay,
Robinhood is as technology friendly, simple a trading platform as there is.
Okay.
Right? I believe that. I do. And they're getting into certain things that maybe I don't want them to, but it's, they're going to trading crypto now. They're pretty soon going to get into betting. You can already.
Robinhood?
Yeah, they're going to try to go that route.
I might have to open my Robinhood account back up.
All right?
referral code.
Exactly. Yeah, then you get $100
But I already
free.
had one, so I don't know.
So
if
they're thinking about it. They're not there
though.
yet. So to own the stock, I got to be careful because I'm not allowed to pick individual
understand.
stocks on the radio. But
Right.
I would be challenged to own that for my clients. How about that?
Okay.
I don't own a single share of Robinhood for a single one of our clients, and we manage almost $1 billion. So that's what I think or don't think about the stock price. Now, as an application to use, and I think it's as good as the next one, right?
That's what I started with because it is so simple and so easy.
It is.
To use.
And we saw a huge pickup in personal trading.
And you don't have to buy a full stock. You can just buy
shares. You can buy fractionals.
like the fractional shares.
Now,
Yeah.
So
like
you can put $10 on Apple right now.
Yeah.
Okay,
And it
but
costs $200.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
But like you spoke about betting, and we talk about this a lot too, that
Short-term investments.
short, okay, yeah.
I'm the long-term. I'm the long-term guy.
Oh, here,
I'm the long-term investment guy. Your short-term guys, they're probably named Guido, and go get him. But that's not me.
I don't.
Short-term investment. So I think
Short-term
now,
investment advisors is not what we
you
do.
got the prize picks, you got the hard rock, you got so many different
Let me
apps
check mine.
that are available, and I think now that's the new wave.
It is. They've made it easy to lay a bet.
Yeah.
And you know when it really picked up in popularity with high school kids and young 20-something-year-olds, and probably all of us too.
Yeah.
April through June of 2020. We got no sports. Remember that?
Yeah.
You turn on, basketball was gone, football was gone. They didn't even have
No
dogs
March
racing
Madness.
on the damn thing, man. The
Yeah.
dogs weren't going to get COVID. Throw something
they
on we could
have-
bet on, right?
Yeah.
So
Ain't have
people
nothing.
started.
The world stood still.
And people started being able to go online and bet stocks the way they were betting games. And it's not the same. The stock isn't over in an hour and a half, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Right.
things move stocks around daily, weekly, monthly. In the short run, a month out, I've never heard of, read of, seen, heard tell of anybody who can consistently get it right for a month at a time.
GameStop.
Doesn't matter.
What are your feelings on the GameStop run?
You were betting on that Hello Roaring Kitty fool to throw up some picture of a cat, and then everybody goes in and everybody goes out. That's not investing. That's gambling. And do it. Have fun. God love you. Somebody's got to win. But I'll tell you, you go to Vegas, they serve you free drinks, and it's just the same thing. It's not investing. And
Vegas is undefeated.
And
For the record.
I made some money off of
They don't
GameStop.
build those hotels giving away money.
nope, they build it on the losers, not the winners. So, yep, that's true. So I'm just saying that can you get it right a couple
they keep
times?
building
Sure.
hotels.
Are there people that get it so right that they can retire early? Sure. Do 95 to 99% of the people that try to
Not
trade
at
in and
all.
out get hammered? Yes.
Yeah.
And then they get a
Yeah,
tax
they-
bill. Don't forget
yeah.
taxes, right? Nobody
Yeah,
tells
always
you
important.
that you got short-term and long-term capital gains every time you're going in and out on your phone, right? You figure that out come January the next year. So again, feel free to do it. It's just not my thing. I need to have
You're
at
not
least.
gonna have a penny stock strategy for us
I won't
today.
buy a penny stock. Won't do it. Won't do it.
And you don't have a prize pick set up for us.
Prize pick?
No seminars.
Hey, listen to more Chop Shop, and you guys come out here and give some sponsorship. That's my prize pick for this.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
But I think it is funny because we talk, and I spoke with you earlier. You were just speaking about how in today's times, how much gambling or short-term investment, how much.
But
that
gambling
plays-
too. I mean, actual
right,
gambling.
That play, like you said, like here it is a
But
kid.
but the mentality is the same. Trading short-term stocks and gambling. I mean, it's the same high. It's the same rush. It's
Right.
the same.
I want it right now.
And by the way, when your friends tell you about their winners in football and basketball betting or in stocks, you only hear about the winners. You hear about the 10-game parlay they hit. You do not hear about the 37-game parlay they didn't hit, right?
Yeah.
I let my wife know I lose. I don't never let her know when
And
I
I think
win.
that's the funniest thing.
Honey,
Like you
sorry.
said, it's like
we're not going to Red Lobster after all. Back
this
in.
one ain't it. Yeah.
And it's funny because now I think short-term investment has now passed fantasy football. Like that is
No, I
crazy.
think that's right. And crypto trading is the same thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
crypto and
Right, that's what I'm saying. So now if you baseball, you
I don't
got
play fantasy football. I got a Hard Rock app.
Okay, but
There you go. That's exactly what he said. Though. That's exactly
so you
right.
got the app. That's what I'm saying. But it's like
That's exactly what he just said.
The anxiety that people have. Say from just say and we're East Coast, so let's say 12:50 to like 11:30 on Saturday. Oh, actually, you can do all day Saturday, all day Sunday, because I know when college football starts, it's gonna get crazy.
I might shut Bit back down. I might shut it down on Saturdays, bro.
Yeah,
And that's what I'm saying. People really
short-term trading and gambling are the same. It's the same high. There's a principle out there. It's called the 13. It's behavioral finance. Basically, people act a certain way when it comes to investing and gambling, and it happens a lot. So people's emotions are super hard. Part of what I do every day is help check those emotions, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to invest other people's money. I don't get emotional about that, right?
Yeah.
I can look at it. My own money I get emotional about, sure. But with these behavioral finances things, so let's say we go to the casino, you walk in with $100, you get up 100, you take your money, put it back in your pocket, right?
Right.
And you tell yourself, I'm playing with their money.
right.
And if I'm going to be good. Then you go through their money, what do?
I still got
Right. Most
Listen,
people right back. They go right in your pocket, back out.
you on you anyway.
And you tell yourself, that things that sound like this. If I just get back my 100, I'm going home. Right. And then
Not me.
See, a lot of
I
people
got to
do.
get them 200 back.
Yeah, okay, so that's the point, right? Whatever that number is, people do that with
I gotta get
stocks
them 200
all the
back.
time, right? They buy a stock at 10, it goes to 7, and they say, man, if it just goes back to $10, I'm getting out.
I'm gonna-
And then it goes to $4, and then it goes to, and then it goes bankrupt, right? So behavioral finance and emotion, behavioral
Well,
finance and emotion is
I've
a
never
big
told
part of
this
what we
story.
do.
I'm gonna tell you my sad hard rock story, and it was make a grown man cry. Wednesday night, just messing around. I said, I'm just trying my luck tonight. I had an 11-team pick, different players, put down $1, paid out $335. I remember so vividly. All of my picks had hit. I need James Harden to give me 21.5 points. They playing the New Orleans Pelicans. He jumps out with 12 in the first quarter. I'm on the phone.
Talking like that, get my hair did.
I'm on the phone.
Story, right?
I'm on the phone with Kobe. I said, it's going to be good. I said, I'm going to watch the game, but I said, hey, I got 335 covered. I said, that's coming right on time.
Yeah.
Second
we
quarter
finna go out to eat.
Second quarter comes, he scores 2 points. So now we got 14, but I'm feeling
Yeah,
good.
he only need 8.
I only need 8 and he gonna start.
And you got another half.
Now, went to the free throw line. There's 2 free throws.
Oh, no.
Okay, so and Harden is probably like an 85 and up.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, he's a
percent.
shooter,
He
yeah.
goes to the line, hit a 3. Now we at 17. I said, okay. Then got a basket and an and one. Now we at 20, going into the fourth quarter. Mind you, they're up by like 19.
Oh,
Going into the fourth quarter. No.
They're going to sit him.
No.
They're going to sit him. I know where this is headed.
He gets fouled on a layup because now I done went from watching my phone, now I'm watching the game. I'm locked in like Lisa. I'm trying to please. I'm
Leave me
watching the
alone.
game. I can't talk. I can't even think right now. Goes to the free throw line, makes the first. We're at 20. I said, okay, whew. Misses the second.
And they take him out.
They go down 2-3 times. They call a timeout there by like 23 with like 7 minutes left. They pull him.
Yeah.
And I just said, you know what? It's too much. I cannot take this. I cannot take
You guys
this.
remember Fred Sanford? Oh, I'm coming this time.
You see Skinbone, the little skit he had on Instagram?
Yeah.
With the Celtics?
Yeah.
We had the Celtics. He talking about, Doc, come on, man, turn the game off. I want to have some sex, girl. I want to have some sex. He said, no. Jason Tatum already done F me.
And I felt Skipbo. I felt Skipbo going to say it's like that took the air out of the blue. I was just like, I knew this 335 was coming. Like I think I had.
You already spent half of it in your brain.
Yeah.
I had like DeMar DeRozan. I had Nas Reed. I had random guys. And I said, I'm going to go to the last game. I said, Kawhi's not playing. I'm going to run because James Harden's going to get the majority of touches. 12 in the first quarter. I said, okay, I'm looking good. It's going to be my night. Then we come back again. He got 2. And, man, when he missed that second free throw, they went up and down a couple times. And, like, he wasn't even involved in the offense, just like, he plays point guard. So he was, like, in the offense. Like, he just stand around the corner.
The quarterback's not even
Like,
involved.
the ball. Like, let me tell you what's funny. They brought it up yesterday. If you remember when SGA had an over of 31 and a half. When he hit 32, the coach went and told, hey, come get him. You come get him now. He done hit. I just like, I said, this is crazy. But I tell people that's a different kind of pain because you see it.
I've seen
I only
folks
had one
that
like
have
that.
invested that way, right? They couldn't lose. Back in 1999, every internet stock, ABC.com, and it didn't matter what it did, it was going up, right? There were lawyers and doctors that quit their jobs and were day trading for a living.
Wow.
In Atlanta, actually, there was a big shooting. One guy lost all his money, went in and shot some people up in Atlanta. At one of these trading centers. Because computer technology, the big T1 lines, 98, 99, you don't have the speed you have at your house now. So you wanted to trade fast, you went to one of these centers, a room like this with a bunch of things set up.
Right.
And so this guy lost everything. Lost his 401k, lost his house, lost his everything.
His trade got stuck in the system somewhere.
No, he just
Trade the wrong
Trade
trade.
the wrong
Wrong
stuff.
trade.
Trade the wrong stuff.
And lost.
It's easy when it's going up. It's hard when it's going down, kind of thing. And he came back into that place and shot up a bunch of people. I mean, I remember that. It was terrible. Wow. And so, gambling is an addiction. You know what? That's the problem with short-term investment trading. Yeah, be careful. Are you trying to get a high, or are you trying to make some money? Which one are you trying to do? You know?
Right, and I think that was the thing. We just trying something random because I hit one time in October. And I put like $5 down. I think I won like $285. I'm like, oh, this is cool. So I said,
it's easy. Everybody can do it.
I'll take out $260. Put, I did a 90% on that, so I paid myself 90% on that. So I'll keep the 25.
Behavioral finance. Here we go.
And then, and I think the crazy thing is that you're gonna lose more than you win.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That goes without saying.
Not all the time.
No, not all the time at all. And there are stories. And if you hit the right one,
No, I don't. No.
So you have a higher success rate then. Success rate, excuse me.
Yeah, it's like 52%.
52% win.
You'll make money though if
you make money over time that way, right?
Yeah.
That's
Maybe you should start giving classes then. You see,
You just gotta take. You just can't take bets when you gonna have the plus 400, bro.
So the first college football Saturday, Big Bag gonna be closed. You gonna be working.
It might, bro. I don't know.
You gonna be working your phones.
I might have to. I might have to shut down. Y'all have to come catch me.
We'll just give you an early line. Georgia Tech's at Colorado that Friday night. Colorado's favored by 10.5. Just out the gate, just to let you know.
Y'all might want to hit that Georgia Tech. I don't know about that.
I'm taking Colorado, man. I believe.
Okay, now let's get into that too.
You know, part of that is because now Colorado is a public team.
Yeah.
The public is always betting wrong usually. Late public money's always wrong.
Now let me ask
Notre
you.
Dame, Cowboys.
Yeah, Colorado's got a
Yankees.
public thing too.
Lakers. Let me ask you this. And you were there when Colorado was still a relevant,
Strong Shalom.
strong football team.
And Cordell and Mike Westbrook and
So when you first heard of the Dion hire, how were you? What was your mindset at that time?
At first, I was shocked.
Okay.
And then I started thinking, does he really have any experience? He only spent 2 years at Jackson State, right? And then I thought about the last 3, 4, 5 years that Colorado had previous to that, and I said, it doesn't matter if he's really damn good. He's got a really cool name, and I had heard of Travis Hunter. I had not heard of Shador, really. I mean, as far as, he brought some real talent. We got an upgrade and a half, you know what I mean, talent-wise.
Right.
And then he made us just relevant to talk about. Then they go out and they beat TCU, in that first game. And so it's made it fun to go back.
So
I haven't been back for a game in years, and the last 2 years I go back all the time.
Let's go back to that game. You remember where you were when you watched it? Were you home or
TCU?
Yeah.
Oh, I was here.
You were here. Okay, so when they won, did you go crazy?
Screaming,
You were
hollering.
streaking down Zephyr Hills.
No, I live out here. Man. I stay out here in River Hills.
Okay.
So, no. But yeah, I was excited. I got the
you
jersey.
stayed by me.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times that, and we talk a lot because I know when the hire was made, I was like, they lost one. They won one game less. So anything he does,
We won 3 games in 4 years, man. It was bad. We were bad and irrelevant. And we had the Michigan State coach that came up from Georgia and then left us after
Tucker.
Yes.
Okay.
Mel Tucker, we thought maybe coming out of the SEC, maybe recruiting some kids and maybe we can make this work. NIL was just getting started. Man, he left us like a fat girl at prom, dude. He was gone to Michigan State. The first he wasn't even there a full year. He couldn't afford the bowl game. So then we were in the dumps. So Deion was a great hire.
Then he had issues at Michigan State.
But
He did get a big fat paycheck though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about his personal stuff, but I thought he could help change things. But to answer your question, I was kind of shocked at first and then really happy we were having a conversation about Colorado again. And
so you can go to work with your Colorado polo shirt on.
Yeah,
Christmas is easy. Get daddy a new hat, a new polo, get him some flip-flops, some tennis shoes, whatever says Colorado on it. Grab 2 and send it to dad.
So prior to that, you know, I don't want this stuff.
What's that?
Prior to that, I don't want this stuff.
I had a jersey from when I was in high school, but it wouldn't fit, and it looked like I was shopping at Baby Gap. It was like this on me. But yeah, it wasn't fitting or anything. So yeah, we got some new gear. I'm excited about it, and you know, I don't expect to win the national championship. I just like being relevant and going and watching some football and getting excited.
But I knew when the spring game sold out, I said he's got the fans. Let's see what the talent. Let's see the talent.
Fans. They want the team to be relevant. So yeah,
and that was a proud program. You know, 30, 35 years ago. I go back with Bill McCartney, and he was getting kids from out of California.
And they had some pretty good defensive players. I mean, Russell and Beekert at linebacker, and Chad Brown,
Deion Figures,
that big python. He loved Deion Figures. Yeah,
but they had quality talent that got drafted and played on Sunday. So to me, I know Deion's a master recruiter, so it's just a matter of hey, the first year I looked at like, okay, well maybe they may, but now when kids, and now you had kids that were decommitting.
2 years ago, I don't know that NIL is what it is today. It happened that fast, right? You know, the NIL stuff where he can go get. Colorado had a bunch of 2 and 3 stars as starters, and the guys behind them were walk-ons. Now we got 4 and 5 star kids with 3-star behind them. You know, if you're on the D line playing at a mile high, right? I mean, Boulder's 5,300 feet. That's over a mile. You get winded. We just didn't have anybody with any talent to go in there after him. Now we're a little deeper, and this NIL thing was a bigger deal. He's a better NIL coach maybe than anybody realized, you know, because you don't have to be the best coach every day on the field during game time, but you got to get the talent in the door to go play, right?
But I think he's a better NIL coach.
I think you're
because he attracts more NIL money.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right.
So the more money he brings in, the more money he can distribute.
And that's what I was telling.
So I think that's more of the NIL effect than a lot of people.
He got a blank check. He has a he has a blank check.
Colorado, they gave him a blank check.
So they gave,
Colorado said, we don't even know how we're going to pay you and all your staff, but we'll figure it out.
You know, I graduated in 1996, and all this time, I've never got a letter from any alumni association, right? Deion got hired. I got a letter and an email. I only got my email. I don't know. Telling me about this collective thing that they're going to create and that I needed to donate to it, et cetera, et cetera. That's the first time that ever happened, right? And really? So I'd never before been contacted by the Alumni Association until that point.
But it's a collective, so now they're trying to raise money for NIL.
Yeah. But then you sit back and think about it.
That collective just goes into a great big bag, and then they pay
out players.
The kids that don't get their own deals, right? Like Shador and Travis, you know, they get Nike deals, whatever. But again,
they getting that collective deal too.
Well, they are too. That's the way teams are paying, you know, your offensive guard, and that's how they're paying, you know, your second string corner, who was a 4 or 5 star kid himself, but he's got. That's how they're using this collective. Yeah.
But you can relate to this as well. When you're winning, resources are more plentiful. When you're winning,
you mentioned that, right?
Yeah,
I'm there in my pocket. I will go see the game. Let's go. I'm happy to give.
They're available to you.
Go 1 in 10 for 3 years. Don't call me.
Right. If you're winning, and it's like you said. Here it is. You're a graduate of 1996. So let's just say if you went back 1986, that's 40 years. Colorado may have graduated. What do you think?
Thanks, man. I feel pretty old right now. Thank you very much.
Okay, but I'm a little older than you. So let's just say you think you graduated. How many kids here? Say 3,000, 4,000?
What, from the University of Colorado graduation?
Right.
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay, so that's 40 12. Years times 5,000. You know, and you go strike gold, literally, with a couple of them. So yeah, hey, we're winning. Whatever it takes is no problem. And like you said, being a public university, apparel's jumped up. Deion made over $2 million with the sunglasses.
I was in Knoxville, Tennessee, the orangest place in the world. And there's a 2-story Dick's in Knoxville. It's got upstairs, downstairs, really big place. I just wanted to see it. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And at the entrance to the mall, there was a mannequin dressed up in Deion Sanders Colorado gear.
Wow.
In Knoxville,
In Knoxville,
Tennessee,
Tennessee.
at the Dicks, and that's
I'm
when I knew.
surprised they ain't shoot that.
That's
not
what
Peyton Manning,
I'm
not
surprised they
Reggie
ain't
White.
shoot that.
Yeah.
I'm
Shoot or
afraid
rip
it
it
came
down
out.
or something, but no, Colorado
Get
Jersey.
this off, man, get down out of here.
Yeah.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. So here it is, and that's you're in Vol country.
Yeah,
Right.
the heart of it, right.
So
Get that
and my
goddamn
thing
man
is
get
like,
outta here.
yeah. So I would even take it like you said, maybe Alabama, maybe a Georgia.
No,
but
this was the
Colorado.
fall.
Oh, they
of-
definitely not doing that.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
So they, and they
I didn't think Dick's must have a deal between Dick's and Nike and Dion that's got to be in everyone in the country or something, because I did not expect it in Knoxville.
Yeah, I mean, if it was one, I expected to be in the corner in Knoxville.
Right.
Right in the middle when you walk in from the mall, right there.
Right.
First thing you see.
But here we go again. They're on TV. I sit back and think, we were talking. Their schedule last year, they were on either ABC, ESPN, or Fox.
I couldn't find them on the Ocho
They
for
weren't-
years
yeah,
and years,
they
man.
weren't-
Couldn't find them anywhere to watch the game, man.
Couldn't find them on,
the
you couldn't find them on-
Ocho.
Yeah, you couldn't find them on,
Look for
you
them.
couldn't find them on anything. That's what I'm saying. So every game last year, first game against North Dakota State, Thursday night, that's the national game. North Dakota State, now that's what, D2?
Yeah.
But it's one of the best D2 teams.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
I
They're pretty
understand,
good.
but okay, but
They-
I get that.
It's not
but-
Ohio State, to your
Thank
point.
you, but that's what I'm saying.
right?
But every game they had,
There'll be
was-
some D1 teams though.
They did, but I'm just saying. But you sit back and think now. Here, and I'm a Georgia fan. Georgia went on national TV every week last year.
They didn't deserve to be.
They were on SEC.
They didn't deserve to be.
I had to go.
You trying to pump it like that? What?
Y'all need to sit it together here.
Nah, they ain't deserve to be on there like that. You talking about? Hey,
But I'm just saying. But even like
well,
Ohio
man,
State,
it's not
Ohio
like
State,
that.
Ohio State went on every week on national TV.
Right, because they had a couple of bug tussle states in there. They had a-
That's what I'm saying.
Cause they were getting whooped too early in the
Okay,
year.
but Dion and that was West Town Mall. My buddy actually went to Knoxville. He's on the show. Appreciate that, Jones. But he was saying that if you're looking at Colorado last year, every game they had, it was prime. It wasn't no pun intended.
What's the coach name?
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
no pun intended. But like I said, they had the late game. We was talking about the Colorado Baylor game.
Yeah.
That was a slow week of football. I never got a slow week of football. That might have been one of the top 3-4 games played. One in overtime with the Hail Mary kick.
Yep.
Travis Hunter knocked the ball out the end zone with the fumble.
Yeah, they were going in to win it in regular. Yeah, that was, and then the students rushed the field after we scored, but they still a few seconds on the clock, so they had to get them off so they could give them a chance. It was crazy, man. It was nuts.
Yeah. And let me ask you, how do you
I got
feel?
a slab of ribs off of Colorado this year.
You did?
Shout out to
Parham.
Parham.
Okay, shout out
to
Parham.
Parham.
What's your take before we wrap this up? What's your take on the NIL? How you feel about that?
better than Kirby Smart, I'm pretty sure.
How do I feel about it? So I think that the fact that these universities were making money without doing something for these kids for so long is criminal, right? I mean, they were making tons of money. Do I think there needs to be some kind of regulation and structure around it? Yes, I do.
Okay.
And I don't know what that looks like, but I think you got to start talking about it. Here's what I personally believe it goes, my personal opinion. We end up with two divisions, North and South, let's call them Big Ten and SEC, with 30-some teams in each, and everybody else is just hanging out and is a feeder league into those two things. The kids collectively bargain and begin to be treated like employees. That's coming. And education is just going to be...
Nah, they finna kill you.
well, I think what's going to happen. I'm not telling you they should. I'm telling you I think this is exactly what's going to happen.
say
The kids are going to collectively
bargaining.
bargain. So now you got a salary cap, and there'll be some rules in there about how many times you can transfer, right? Because that's hard. You need to have some kind of limit on that, right? I think you need some kind of limit, 2 times. I don't know what the right number is, and then you need a commissioner. And I think his name's Nick Saban. And I think his name's Nick Saban.
Now let me
I
ask you
don't
this.
think Nick Saban want to deal with that.
No,
though.
probably not. But if he could add some structure around it, I don't know who you get. But my point is,
Nah, he might just.
to add some structure around. He left
Right.
because there is no structure.
Yeah.
Right.
He might do it just to.
So
I think
Just tell you, I told y'all this I need to be ran.
the NCAA is irrelevant.
Now,
The SEC and the Big Ten commissioners run college football as they should because they make all the money. But if it's irrelevant, let's just call it irrelevant. these kids don't go to class because they don't have to. The NCAA doesn't enforce the school rules anymore.
That's what we just talked about. When last time you seen somebody
so
ineligible?
Why not?
When last time you seen that?
It doesn't happen.
Shoot menace.
The only thing the
25 years
NCAA
ago.
does is mess with Michigan. Good Lord. That's the only thing they do is mess with Michigan coaches. But,
They're cheaters.
yeah, well, that must be an Ohio State man right here, huh?
Washington.
Oh, Washington. Okay. But so I think you have to have some kind of structure around this. I don't know exactly what it looks like, but to me, I think it's heading the way of collective bargaining. I think the schools license the right to have University of Texas logos, and the schools find a way to make money on it. You get the lawyers involved, and I think they get a 401k, health care, and an
got their own
education.
network, too.
Okay,
And I
like
think
that.
that's what they collectively bargain for, and that'll give you your structure. You have some kind of commissioner. You got a north and a south, and it's the SEC and Big Ten, which is and that's football and basketball. Everything else can stay the way it is because they don't make any money
What about
anyway.
the Big 12, Colorado?
I think every ACC, Big 12, I think they all fold.
Yeah,
I think
Big
they all
12 's not
fold.
there
You're
yet.
either going to be part of the
The Big
North.
12 is really irrelevant. I think the ACC has potential to have some say just with Miami, Clemson.
But I think you fold those teams
And
in the
Florida
South
State,
and you
right?
fold Colorado into the North. I mean,
Right.
UCLA and USC are in the Big Ten. Washington are in the Big Ten now. So what is it? Colorado's in the middle of those. But so
Right.
it goes
Yeah.
north.
And Notre
That's what I'm
Dame,
saying. You got a North, a South.
Notre
I don't
Notre
know.
Dame's independent.
But they play an ACC
But I
schedule.
don't know what you
so that's
call.
ACC.
Right.
Well, they only play an ACC basketball and football schedule, right? I
Right.
mean, they don't do the others.
They pick ACC teams like
Yes.
Then they slide.
And you know why? Because
Like
they got
2 or
the
3 a
NBC. They
year.
got the NBC contract.
contract.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
that's they
and
don't
that's,
want to
and
give
that's
that
the
up.
thing. But even like,
So I think that's where it goes. What do I think about it? I think paying kids is the right thing to do. How we pay them, when we pay them, how many times they can transfer. It
what's the
sucks
cap?
'cause
That's what I want to ask you. What's the cap? What do you think the most a kid? Because I mean,
I'm a capitalist. As
okay,
much as
but
you
let's-
can get.
okay, but
That's the
let's-
cap. As much as you can get your
but
hands
this is
on.
what I'm saying. Like
But it had
the
to
third,
have
the
been
third
NFL.
string guard, like we just talked about.
He'll never get. No, he will not get treated the same.
I know
He'll
he
get
won't
treated
get
fairly,
treated
but
the
he
same.
will not get paid the
Okay,
same
but-
money as your starting quarterback.
So he'll make. This will be his tier.
Yeah.
And for the elite,
But he's saying it's tiered across the board.
Yeah, it's like a
slot.
salary. Each team.
But you can't really tier it across the board like that.
Why
though.
can't you give each team a certain amount of money and then let them dole it out however they want, just like in the NFL? It's a salary
Okay, now
cap.
you can do it like that.
Yeah, so Ohio State gets this
saying,
money and Colorado gets
the
this money?
tiers of the tiers, like say this
Third
third string
string
guard.
No, he gonna make
ain't
more
gonna
than
make the
quarterback.
same as this third string
I'm
guard.
not recommending
'cause
that. No.
he might be a 5-star
What I'm
at
saying
Alabama.
is, here's the amount of money that you can have to spend on your
Yeah,
guys, however
that-
you do
so
it.
that makes sense.
So that's what I meant by a
See,
salary cap.
I give you $50 million. You got to do that with the 98
Yep.
guys.
And if that
it
means
can't
you
be 50 million.
yeah, it can't be 50.
Everybody can't afford that.
Because if you got, cause
No,
Well,
No,
well,
you
hold
can
on
run
now.
the
Hold
numbers.
on now. If that's where it gets interesting.
Yeah, because if
if you
money's
got
there.
2 divisions
right,
and all the TV money,
yeah,
right? ESPN, CBS, the internet, Amazon's on
Fox.
TV now.
It's a lot
all
more.
of it.
It's a lot more than
Those
20
TV
million.
contracts are split up between 2 leagues, 64 teams.
right.
Now you got money. That's where the money comes from.
Right.
It doesn't come from
So-
the donors anymore. It comes
And
from the
every
TV
time they play
contracts.
each other, they're within the TV contract. they're
Bingo.
within-
Right.
So they're going to bid for those
So they
TV
double dip, they
contracts. They
double
take that
dipping.
money, just like in the NFL. I think it's time to call these athletes what they are. They're athletes. They're not students anymore, and that's okay. A lot of kids do go to school, and that's great. But it's just like a health. But what I'm saying is, a lot of kids don't.
Right.
Let's pay for their school, but let's also pay for their health
This
care.
guy
Let's pay
is
for the
funny.
401k.
This guy-
But he's telling the truth.
This
though.
guy's funny.
So,
Okay,
you don't talk about it. Okay, let's be.
Yeah,
let's-
let's go. That's great.
Let's be clear. But like you said, just like you said, if we dress 105 guys,
Yeah.
how many guys are really going to class?
I hope 105.
That sounds good.
How many?
At Colorado, it's 105.
Colorado is that
3.0 the whole team.
That might be something I'm the most proud of. To answer your question.
That's Colorado. Let's say
How many years have we been talking about
Let's
this?
say
all
Clemson.
these
Clemson has a 90%, like 90, it's like a 99% graduation rate.
Clemson doesn't mess with the NIL either. You notice they're not in the portal.
Okay.
Dabo don't believe
Florida
it,
State.
and that's why they've gone down.
Florida State.
how many think their kids going to class?
That's a new coach.
Well, here's my thing. For years,
We go to class in Tallahassee.
I have heard people complain over and over and over about these kids are there to get an education and they don't graduate, right?
They're not there to get an education. They're there to play
That's what-
football.
Let's just call it what it is.
Right.
Because if
And
they
then
didn't play football, they probably wouldn't be there.
the graduation rate of athletes exceeds that of the regular.
I would absolutely believe that. So let's give them the chance to get a education. Let's give them a 401k. Let's give them healthcare benefits, and let's put some structure around it with a strong leader. That's what I think.
Because a lot of times, I think a lot of people with the NIL now, they're asking for such crazy prices out the gate.
Did you see that kid out of Tennessee?
Yeah.
So the one that's not going to be playing nowhere.
Yeah, that's the one.
He's at UCLA, but he took like less than a million.
He took less than the raise he was asking for.
Right. And that's what I'm saying.
No, he took less than what he was getting.
Yes,
Right.
that's what I'm saying. Yes,
and now
he was making
What he was asking for, he way less. He probably
he's getting less than the increase.
And to me, he had a bad game against Ohio State.
He had bad advice as his daddy.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
That's not bad advice.
That's what I want to get into.
If it's bad advice, it's bad.
A lot of kids are looked at as a way out in certain families.
Sure.
So there's a lot of pressure that's put on them, and if they do not, exceed expectations, the situation with the Tennessee quarterback is perfect. He was making, I want to say
1 point something.
He was making 1.5 and he wanted 4. He's gonna make 1.2
Right.
now. Yeah.
right.
The crazy part is he wanted to sit out
The
He
bowl
wanted to
game.
sit out the bowl game.
Yeah.
Now I think that's something.
And by the way, they were in the playoffs. If it's look, I love the other bowls, but I think that's
Alamo
a big problem.
Bowl.
That's what I mean. Playoff.
But that's going to happen. Is that a lot of these kids are going to quit playing in bowl games because there's no reason for it unless you're in the playoffs.
They're gonna have to put that verbiage in the contracts.
Well, if you just say if it's a playoff game, now if you got 32 teams in each, how big are the playoffs? You got lots of schools and lots more kids that way, right?
Here's our last question. We got one. What are your thoughts on gaining more exposure to HBCUs for those that cannot go to Power Fives? It goes back to resources. That's what it goes back to.
What was say the question again?
What are your thoughts on gaining more exposure to HBCUs for those that cannot go to Power Fives? Deion showed you in the 2 years he was at Jackson State as a former NFL player, the profile was larger.
Deion showed you they not gonna do right with the money.
That's true too.
It's hard.
It ain't hard. It's not hard.
It's just doing the right thing.
It's not hard
Just doing the
because
right thing.
Deion had in his contract, if the game sold out, he's supposed to get a certain amount of
percent.
money.
Oh, they didn't pay in the right way.
And he did not get.
They did not. He did
So
not get
he's
his money.
looking at the stadium. He said, "Man, every game sold out. I ain't got a bonus, a sellout bonus since I got here.
Right.
But every game is sold out.
Right.
We on ESPN.
So how do we get exposure to
Right.
the HBCUs? How do we get more TV contracts? Like,
Deion got him a TV contract.
But Deion,
that's what I'm saying.
But
How do we increase
120 million.
exposure to them?
you have to up. To me, you got to upgrade the product. Like as far as just say,
But you can't
the state-
upgrade the product if you're not taking care of the money. The money is what's going to upgrade the product.
And I understand, but let me give you a perfect example. When you have football games outside of homecomings for HBCUs, they don't generate that kind of buzz. Well, as far as say, okay, like the students are going to games.
So I understand what you're saying, D, but they just got this ESPN deal.
Right, they did.
So it's what? How many HBCUs it is that was involved? So it's what?
It's like 10 or 12 or something, yeah.
10 million a piece?
Right.
So now, with that revenue, how are you going to upgrade your exposure? How are you going to upgrade your program?
Great point.
So, like, you got to do right with the money.
That's true.
What Deion did with Jackson State, they continue to win. They continue to win, but what are they doing to make the program better?
Right.
And when you think about it,
That's on the HBCU.
They got better facilities, but then that's only Jackson State really because of Deion. A couple of the other schools may benefit, but now Deion's gone.
They going to benefit. They got 10 million.
Right.
That's not a lot of money for because don't forget that
For
money
HBCU,
back.
like
It's
if you
for-
talking about,
But it's not just for the football team.
But
It's
it
for
should be.
everything.
But it should be.
It should be, but it's not.
But it should be. You want to know why? Because you're making
it's illegal. It's Title IX. Title IX's got to get some of that money.
Right.
Every one of the sports
every
got
sport's
to
got to get some of that money. But
Male and
to me,
female.
though,
Male and
Do they have to get an equal amount?
No.
No, they
Okay.
shouldn't. But
They
even
don't have to get. Okay, we're gonna take this. We're gonna take 1 million and split that up with the rest of the sports. Football is what drives money to the school.
Football and basketball, those are the two money making.
You have to
And not basketball at
reinvest
every
that
school.
money into the program.
It's funny you say because that's why the HBCU schools that go play,
They give the money to directors.
They go for check games. Like perfect example, Alabama State went to UCLA 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Played, they got 800,000, but they had the band go, the football players go. They flew out,
And it costs them.
and it cost but
It costs them
UCLA.
damn near 800,000.
No, but UCLA paid for their
that?
flight. When we gonna give you a check to come blow you out, we're gonna get $800,000 Fam went to Ohio State years ago, got beat 77. Then they got $700,000. That funds their whole program for the year. So when you sit back and look at
but now I'm a young sports fan, and I see this team get blown out by 77. I'm not going to follow them, right? So to your point, you got to make the teams better.
Right.
Deion said that. Deion said we're not going to do that.
Right.
You guys remember UCF was a nothing, right? An afterthought until they went 11-1 with Scott Frost back then.
Right.
I guess he's back, but
yeah.
No, but y'all were also good 2 years, and they're also the largest school in Florida.
Yeah, they're the largest school. They have a bigger
like,
student body than anybody in the country.
Right. But Culpepper, even when Culpepper was there, they weren't.
That's crazy.
Right. Yeah,
he was putting up numbers, but they wasn't like that though.
No. Even with Brandon Marshall.
Right.
Yeah.
They weren't like. That's what I'm saying. So
they had players come through.
You got to get a better product, and you have to do. You got to get people to come out for non-homecoming events, because alumni will go to homecoming. They'll go to more games.
It's not happening, which probably happened a lot more when you were in school, or I guess we'll say me, but I was a little bit different because of the military. The student population at the other schools was always a consistent. And now it's like these kids have other things to do.
Yeah.
Especially at HBCUs.
We were talking about Colorado. I went out for a couple of games when we were bad. By the end of the second quarter, certainly by halftime, the entire student section's gone. They don't come back. Gone. They stayed for a quarter and a half, and they.
You got to give them something to see, though.
Correct. To your point, you got to get the talent level.
But
better.
HBCU teams are winning.
Yeah, but it used to be an event, though.
HBCU teams are winning and don't have
each
a crowd.
other, right? I mean, they're playing in their same group, and it's like an echo chamber. Yeah. But put Jackson State on the schedule with Georgia. Put Fed.
Oh God, no.
But I mean, that's a check game. But that's a check game. But like I said, that's a check game. That's not.
But it's
really
nothing.
Help them. That's a check game.
It's nothing that comes out of that game that's good for Jackson State.
Right.
No, the kids get hurt.
But here we go again.
So they'll lose to Georgia that week, and then they'll probably lose to lesser competition another team the next week because they're still trying to recruit from last week.
Right. But that's why I say, so when you don't have the depth, and when you say, okay, let's say Jackson State may dress out 70, Georgia dresses out 110, and your third string is just as good as their first string.
Your 110 could start at Jackson State.
Right.
So that to me is the biggest thing about NIL. The years of Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State being 5 deep at every position, 5-star, are over. Those kids don't sit anymore.
No,
you're going to get. Hopefully, what you're going to get is more people coming up to the top because that kid's just not going to sit 4 years anymore.
That's why Nick Saban.
I want to play.
That's why Nick Saban stepped down.
Yeah, you can't be that.
So,
well, he also stepped out because the kid was telling him, asking him how much you going to give me.
Right.
No, he stepped down because he ain't going to be able to keep that line.
He can't.
The way it has been for years.
Right. Because now it's opened up his. That was
if you look at Alabama.
If they don't play, they leave. Right. I mean,
if you look at Alabama,
they can't have their turn.
They can't keep the depth that they've always had.
Right. They can't do that
because they're going other places now.
So we're gonna wrap this up with my man, Mr. Weicht. Flaharty Asset Management.
Larry, I know you said you give these. Because this is mine, by the way. But I know you said you give these to everybody. How can people get it?
Why don't we do this? If you want something, do you have a call-in line? Do they have a website that you follow at all, D?
Not a website, but I can give you Greg Dawson's information.
But I know they can always go to FLA.
There you go. So it's a really long one to spell. Why don't we do this? What if we throw my business card up on your site so they can see it whenever you're ready? Because
we can do
it's
that.
FlahartyLLC.com, but there's 9 different ways to spell Flaharty.
I'll put that out there. And before we get out of here, anybody you want to shout out? You want to
give?
Flaharty, Flaharty is how it's spelled, right?
Flaharty, okay. Yeah. Anybody want to give thanks to?
Thanks to my family, girlfriend, niece, nephew, kids, my daughter's cat. We're good. I'm perfect. Thank you, though.
Zephyr Hills High School?
The Go Bulldogs, absolutely.
Okay. When did I take you to a game?
I was up there last year for a game, and then our old football coach passed, and a bunch of us went up there and went dinner. It was really good to see some guys up there for that, too. But
that's cool.
So I actually went to a game last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you see Newsom play when your kids were there?
Oh, yeah. I went to those games. My girls weren't really into football, but I loved going, so I was like, come on.
How do you feel about high school football now from when you played?
I don't follow it like you do, D. I don't know.
Did anybody impress you like at the Newsom game? Like, okay, he looks good. They look good.
I thought it was very different that they had to stop the game and everybody got water.
There you go.
Yeah, I was like, there's like timeouts for heat stroke and water, all that kind of stuff. I was like,
if you die, you die.
Well, and coach would say you better not do it on first down, right? I mean, you better wait till third down if you're going to go. Yeah. So I just thought that kind of stuff was different, so it was a little slower. But yeah, I mean, there's talented kids coming over. I saw Blue, Damian Pickett, his son was out there.
We had DJ on the show in December last
Really
year.
good players still show up and look like really good players. You know what I mean? You can just tell a little faster, a little taller, more confident, a little smoother in the route running, whatever it might be. So I like it. I just love football. So I'm happy to go.
So we're going to hit you with rapid fire when we come back. As we always recognize our sponsors, those that keep the lights on. Tori is looking for the card for Flaharty. Actually, Flaharty. I like that Flaharty. That's cute.
Well, I figured
Asset management.
Easy to spell.
There it is right
go.
there.
There we go.
Okay.
It looked like a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, that's it. Here, let me give you something else, man.
You look kind of festive in that picture, too.
Yeah, I do, man. Look like Uncle Fester, man.
Hey, he looks like a chemistry professor.
Yeah, I was
like
gonna say, man,
yeah,
that kind of
Professor Weether.
I got a faculty picture.
Yeah,
he doing that.
I got a bit.
I need a pair of bike shorts
Man.
and a big old dip
Man, I got
Professor
I
Weether
got,
10.
man, he's tripping,
He
man.
tough, ain't he, man?
Yeah, man.
I don't really like him, though.
I'm thinking
going to transfer.
I'm thinking about dropping his
That's what
class.
his class.
Mr. White, man, I got to change class. Man, he tripping.
So, like I said, thank you for coming on, man. We definitely gonna have you back on.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely. You dropped some good gems tonight, man. Just talking about managing your money, getting prepared for the next phase of life. 'Cause a lot of people really do not process that.
No, and even people,
we
a lot of
didn't
us,
get into the
it's a hard
company.
conversation, right?
Huh?
So that's my hard part is that I don't really want to talk about my parents dying, but I need to know what they got. You know what I mean? It's like, where's your stuff? You got one of those forms like I just gave you. It's like, do you have a safe deposit box? Where's the key? I don't even know if you have one. I might need to get to it one day.
I'll definitely bring it up on Barbershop Talk.
Okay.
I was going to say, we didn't even get into the company. How did you become a part of this?
So years ago, I was with Merrill Lynch and helped run that for a while in Wells Fargo. And then in 2008, the market crashed, right? And I was with Wachovia.
I remember.
And on a Sunday, Citigroup bought Wachovia, but it wasn't a done deal. I answered the phone. I didn't know who I worked for. I was answering the phone, trading people's money for 3 days. I had no idea who owned us. And my client started saying things like, Larry, I don't care as long as you're there. And that's when the lights went off in my head. It's like, okay, hold on. I can do this. I don't need the Stagecoach or the Merrill Lynch Bull anymore. I've done this long enough and good enough. I can do this. I hooked up with Sean. We knew each other at Merrill. He had just gone out on his own. I was asking him how he did it, and he said, I got a better idea. Come over here. And I'm like, done. Let's do it. And so now we grew it. We're 22 people and almost $1 billion, couple offices, and work with good people, no jerks. That's the number one rule. I don't care how many zeros. Just good people and hire good people, and we're getting in real lucky.
You said Sean.
And you're hiring?
Always hiring talented people.
Okay.
I love talented people, and what's more is we're taking new clients with the right assets and the right attitude. So that's even better.
So what are the requirements for an employee?
For an employee, depends on what you want to do. If you want to be a financial advisor like me, that's got some professional licenses that you have to have.
Legal.
No, not even legal. You got to pass a Series 7 securities exam. You got to pass an insurance exam. You got to pass this thing called an RIA exam. That's just the industry standard to get in to be an advisor. If you want to be part of our support staff, or if you want to work on our tech team, right? Because we help clients with technology too. It's part of the what we have to do now. So there are different avenues in our firm that we can talk about.
Oh, okay.
Don't be a jerk and work hard. I literally, there's a picture of this up on the wall, and it says, success is about half days. The day has 24 hours in it. You pick which half you want to work. And so if you can do that, you can come work with us.
Okay. So let's recognize those that keep the lights going, man. Let's pull up Cigar Life as we do every show. We dedicate to my man Will D, CIGARLYFE.com. Got a lot of good stuff on there. You can pull up GD Naps.
Do they still sell cigars on the website?
Actually, it's apparel.
It's just apparel?
Just apparel, yeah.
Okay.
You pull up Greg Doss from me. There you
Because
go.
I went to Cigar International this weekend.
Oh, you did?
Oh, okay. I didn't know you smoked cigars. Greg Dawes,
Me
G9
either.
Attorney Pro Se Consultants. We do quite a few things. Definitely don't do financial advising, but we help people sometimes navigate the
He's
difficult
thoroughly
journey
nervous.
of self-representation. And I got an interesting email before the show, but I'll talk about that on Barbershop Talk. Check me out on Wednesday at noon. Barbershop Talk on YouTube, Greg Dawes, GDNAPSC. And I'm sure you'll be interested to know what my response to them was.
Okay.
And he's a wild boy.
Also, man, Carlos Martin Auto Repair Center, 813-443-4639. 4730 at 7101 North 40th Street. Carlos right now is pulling for the Knicks. And the
I figured that. I already
Knicks and
figured
Timberwolves.
that.
That's what he
I
said.
thought it was in Indiana, but okay.
No, he said
Nah,
Knicks.
it's definitely
And he
Knicks.
said the Knicks going to win the NBA
And
title.
every
so.
Canadian in Canada is suddenly an Oilers fan. It's the only one they got left.
And also, Elevated Designs got some new prints coming out. Check them out, elevatedesign.net, 813-400-7015.
Thank you for the universal.
You can also go into Calvin's, Spencer, S&C Pool Service. Spencer Johns, I just talked to him earlier, die-hard Buck fan. He say 14-3 this year.
Absolutely.
That's
Boy,
what he told me. He
he
said
a
14.
wild
You get to
boy.
play New Orleans twice.
That's it.
And the Falcons.
It might be 2 of their losses.
Going after Falcons.
Keep your punches up now. Don't do that now. Y'all didn't win the game last year, so I want to
Right.
make sure we keep that same energy.
Torres, you got a broom in here?
Yeah. Yeah, we got the
Don't have to
we got the
sweep them
gun.
up.
Yeah, we got the gun. We got the
swept
gun.
them last
Sling.
year.
I watched that show last year. We had the broom out for you. Real low key. You were real quiet. So yeah, pull up S&C Pool Service for me, please. Spencer Johnson, 813-802-9496. Pavers and resurfacing, supply and install pumps, automation salt systems, heat pumps, automatic cleaners, algae cleanup, and acrylic deck.
Definitely get them going now. It's been hot.
Yeah, it's time of the year. Actually,
Time to use the extra chlorine up in there, right?
Calling him right now is a premium. You
yeah,
got to call him in the
my
wintertime.
man Paul Archery, his daughter actually just made the team for the
Shout out.
Olympic at Tampa Tent Shop, 813-408-9112. 28
I need
years
that. I
at
need to
Further
hear
Stop.
that number. I need his number.
Oh, we got it. I get you as soon as we get out of here. I put you on the group text.
Yeah,
no
yeah, I
problem.
need that.
Yeah, Auto, come right to you. Auto home and office, man. Good dude, Paul
My
Archer.
daughter's
That's my
car
man.
needs some work. We're good.
Okay, well, say less. We're gonna make that happen for you.
Thank you.
And King's Care does a rapid fire, so our last one is Wingstop. Pull that up for the good people. 10 locations throughout the Bay Area. We're on East Hillsborough, North Dale Mabry, South Florida, North Florida, West Hillsborough, South Dale Mabry, Florida Highway 54 out there in Luke's area, and Bruce B. Downs out there in New Tampa, and then the last two where it all started, 2776 North Fowler, and then Chop Shop headquarters. Hopefully we'll get that tonight, 9305 North 56. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to say maybe a minute. We do not own the right to this music. We're going to have Mr. Larry Weicht on the stove. We're doing rapid fire. We come back with him.
Thank you.
What's going on, good people? Yours truly, Easy DZ. To my left, the amazing AKA Rough Greg Doss.
What?
Okay. To my far right, Dade City's finest, world famous Reverend Waldo.
You welcome.
Amen.
Wow.
Thank you. Okay. We're doing rapid fire tonight, my man Larry. We've pulled it up for us. Torres Kings Care, the official sponsor of the rapid fire. Go ahead, proceed, Waldo.
Shout out to King's Care, man. For a king made by a queen, man. Y'all check us out.
What y'all got?
King's Care with a K.com. Y'all check us out online. Check us out on Instagram. Kings_care with a K. Make sure y'all check us out on Amazon as well. We also in the Brandon Mall. We have shampoo, conditioner, beard oil, beard conditioner, beard wash, and also a pomade.
There we go. I use both of those.
And y'all make sure y'all check us out.
Okay. Rapid fire, we finna get into it, my man Larry. Favorite food?
Some redneck concoction called hot dogs and rice, man.
Hot dogs and rice?
You chop up some hot dogs, put in there with some
Can't say
rice
I've heard
and
that
red
one.
beans and
And you good to go. Okay. Favorite dessert?
I like cheesecake.
Cheesecake?
Yeah.
Any specific flavor?
No, I mean just cheesecake. I mean if you put blueberries or strawberries on, I'm
Okay.
good by that too.
You a Bucks fan?
Yeah.
All time, give me your Mount Rushmore favorite Bucks. Don't have to be best, just your favorite.
Scott Brantley.
Scott Brown, okay, knocked out Aaron Hipple.
Ooh,
Yeah, that was ugly.
Ooh,
I remember that.
Yeah, when he hit Hippo and his
Yes,
head
on
blew
the
off.
sideline.
Yeah.
That was Sports Illustrated.
That'd be an assault today,
That was violent.
Brooks, I'm a big Brooks guy.
Okay.
Lynch.
Okay.
And then I thought the funniest person I ever heard was Simeon Rice. I mean, that dude just made me laugh. I don't know if he's the best of words, but
Going into the Ring of Honor this year, too.
oh, did he? Okay, so
He will be going.
well deserved. So if I had to just, I mean that's
I
kind
don't
of
think
my
well
top
deserved.
10.
He ain't been there long enough. But
He did a lot. He had a good impact though. Simeon had a good impact.
Simeon Rice, how many years he was there?
He was there 5
5
and won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And
He was
has
at
about
5. I thought it was
80
like
sacks,
3.
No.
So I just thought he was funny. I don't know if
I mean,
he's like my favorite player, but no,
he has
Brantley.
about
When
80
I was a
sacks,
kid,
too.
we went to the Bucks camp, and it was Brantley and Mark Cotney used to run that
I remember
thing.
Mark
Yeah.
Cotney.
And Brantley, just a good old boy. Later in life, I got to know him through the Outback Bowl and
Yeah.
stuff, and just a good old guy. Just sit around here and have a conversation with all of us right now. I really liked him.
Mark Cotney would undress you, too.
Yes, he would hit you hard.
He would hit you.
Yeah, he run through. Yeah.
John Lynch would hit his own mother-in-law if he had to. Woo.
Yeah.
Now I know you
I just
also
don't wait on an opportunity.
and we didn't get into this. You're also on the bowl committee
Yeah.
for the used to be called Outback Bowl.
It's called the ReliaQuest Bowl.
The ReliaQuest Bowl.
ReliaQuest.
ReliaQuest Bowl.
ReliaQuest. They're a
That's it.
cybersecurity company in Tampa. They're doing a great job with us.
Okay,
We're
perfect.
really, really happy to have them.
We're gonna hang out with you this year. I'm hoping that I just saw the schedule. The Bucks play the Falcons on the 11th. Hope you guys don't do the announcement on that day because that's probably gonna be.
We'll have to look at that. Like, figure out when when they play the championship games.
That'll be the week before.
We'll do it the Sunday
maybe
after.
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
we'll do it the
cool.
Sunday after that.
Perfect. Best bowl game you've seen here.
And Outback Ball.
Outback or ReliaQuest?
Two years in a row, Georgia, Michigan State came down to a field goal in overtime both times. They were great. Back-to-back years. It was awesome.
Okay. Favorite movie?
Top Gun. The original.
The original, okay.
Okay.
It's kind of why I wanted to go to the Air Force Academy, honestly.
They-
You gotta tell me.
Berlin.
Hey, a slip-on soundtrack as well.
Oh, yeah.
A really
Yeah,
good
really
soundtrack.
good soundtrack.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. But okay, my last going to music road trip, you could take 4 musical artists, your whole catalog of music, any genre. Wow. Give me your 4. I think I know one of them. I'm waiting to see.
He's our age, right?
See, yeah, so
Yeah,
I know one.
I mean-
I have an idea of one.
I think I would take John Dillon's catalog because it's so big. You should just like music I can listen to, or
anybody,
Anybody
whoever you want to listen to. This
See, that's
is
just it.
this is your show.
I don't have my music. My music tastes are just kind of anything and everything.
That's fine.
So,
Just give us anything.
Oh, yeah, just get us everything. George Strait.
Yeah, George Strait,
Yeah.
everything. I listen to
Snoop.
hip hop too.
Old Snoop.
Yeah, like gin and juice, old Snoop. Now that I love me some of that. Love me some of that.
Okay.
And then what else would I have?
What about any? Well, let's say 80s, like pop rock. Who'd you like in the 80s? Hair
I
bands.
listen to
or-
everything. Yeah, from Bon Jovi to Van Halen.
Okay.
I've seen. Shit, I went to saw Stevie Wonder play one time.
Okay.
I mean, I just listen to anything.
And my last
but
one-
I
Good
really
music
like
is good music.
the old blues, like the really like 20s and 30s, and Blind Eye
okay.
Willie Johnson and those
Okay.
dudes. I mean,
You talking about you went back there.
but I like
what you
that
like.
sound too.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And my last question, last concert you went to go see?
Who did we see last? I went and saw. It was Darius Rucker And they had
no blowfish.
No
No,
Blowfish?
no,
No,
it
it wasn't Hootie.
It was Darius,
He just
and then
wanted
he
to see
had
Darius.
Bare Naked Ladies open for him. Out
Okay.
there at the amphitheater about 2 years ago.
Really?
Good
2.5
show?
years ago. Yeah, it was great.
Well, he's always going to. His
Yeah, it
voice
had
is
to
Oh,
be.
he's just got that voice that transcends,
his
right?
voice
Yeah.
is still
The Bare
strong.
Naked Ladies and Hootie.
Yeah.
I gotta
Darius, my bad.
It was pretty good.
He done took me back. I gotta ask your favorite Outkast song before we get out of here.
I don't know that I have one, man.
You don't have one?
No.
Okay.
Just music is, I like it, but it's not something, it's like cars, right? It's like, I like nice cars, but I'm not into nice cars.
Okay.
Love music.
But you like gin and juice though. That'll get you up and dance a little
It'll
bit.
get me going a little bit.
Well, I want to thank Larry Weaver for coming out here kicking it with us, man.
little white
And the
wiggle.
information.
We gonna be
That's the
yeah.
only move I got. It looks like this.
And he dropped some gems on us tonight, so we're gonna be off next week, Memorial Day.
Oh, that's right.
So those, like I said, those that have served, definitely respect and salute to those that lost, that gave, paid the ultimate price for our freedom. So definitely,
Freedom isn't free. Always
freedom is
remember
not
that.
free. So
Somebody's paying.
But I'll definitely have a Memorial Day dissertation for the city of Champa.
Oh Lord.
okay, June 2nd, we're gonna come back. We got Braxton.
Hart in the Bridge.
Pittman, no, not Hart in the Bridge. Hey, state bound bowler goes to Plant, but he's a big bowler.
Okay.
And I
High school bowling.
high school bowler.
I didn't even know they had
They
that.
used-
Yeah,
used to
he's
be
a
a
high school
thing.
bowler. Like I say, he can bowl. They got a national tournament in Green Bay in July, and I was
It's
like
better than
In
January.
Wisconsin?
in Wisconsin. Yeah, so I talked
least
to his
it's
mom,
indoors.
and she's like,
Yeah.
he bowls, and I was like, because I bowl. I think we all bowl, but I
Yeah, we've all
mean,
been bowling. Enjoy
what's
bowling.
your average?
My average or my best ever average?
What's your average, Larry? You
I would say about
not that,
150.
it's not
it ain't
Jerry.
great,
Yeah,
but
what about
I
you?
go out
I'm
and have
like
some fun.
130, 140.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, no,
So
no.
I
I
probably,
was way
I probably
better than
averaged
that.
like 100. Now I ain't bowled in so long, but
Right.
That's why I
when I
asked
was
him.
bowling, I was probably bowling like 140, 150.
Okay, so when you were bowling, what was
When
your
I was in the
average
league,
then?
I carried a 188.
So when you're not
He's
bowling,
at
what you carrying in?
188.
I don't know what now.
7?
My high game is 248 though. I bowl all the time.
Yeah.
I was good.
We got to get you outside a little more. It sounds like you've been outside at the
You
bowling
got
alley.
tourists over there choking.
Hey, you better ask somebody.
So when I bowl, I don't hit a 200
Okay,
game,
Braxton
but I ain't-
Tolliver, that's it. Braxton
I've never,
Tolliver.
like,
Yeah,
I ain't
that's
never
not an
been
average for me or
no,
anything,
you know
right?
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I probably like when I was bowling in a league, I was probably like 140, 150.
Okay. Well, like I said, we're going to
But
get
it's
out of here,
probably
man. So I
100
want to
now.
thank, once again, Larry Weath and my brothers, Dave City and AK Rep coming to kick it.
What?
You welcome.
We'll see y'all June 2nd. As I always ask Waldo before we get out of here.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Who's got,
Thank you
no,
for the
that means
shirt.
nothing.
Thank you for the shirt. University of Thompson High School
Who's
shirt.
got it better than us, Waldo?
Nobody.
But
Thanks
me.
for coming out. God bless.
But
Good
me.
night. See y'all in 2 weeks.
You
We gone.
welcome.